What's going on, you guys? This is Aaron from Departures Capital and welcome to the video. In this video, we're talking about an exciting new IPO called Nexe Innovations. Nexe Innovations is a green coffee pod company. They've got a lot of exciting news coming up and the stock should be trading today under ticker symbol NEXE. So I love to talk about new companies. I love to bring you guys new IPOs. Nexe is a really interesting one, and I did want to say that this video is sponsored by Nexe Innovations, so check the description down below for full disclosure details. And I also wanted to mention that I will probably personally be buying shares. This video was shot before the IPO date, but I do in fact plan to buy some shares, and I'll be keeping you guys updated as to how many. It will also say down below in the description in terms of the disclosure when it comes to how many shares. So anyways, guys, let's get straight into this video. We're going to be going over what they do, their investor presentation, and their website, just introducing it to you guys, and we will be following this up with an interview from management. I'm not 100% sure exactly who I'm going to be interviewing, potentially their CEO, but I will have 2 more videos as we'll be working with Nexe Innovations for at least 3 videos, hopefully more. So let's get straight into it. The last thing I wanted to say was thank you so much for the support, guys. I love talking about new and exciting IPOs, especially when they're just getting started, like we've talked about so many. So if you do appreciate these types of videos, new and exciting companies, then don't forget to explode that like button. It takes just 1 second of your time, along with cashing that subscribe button and hitting the market bell for future video notifications on awesome companies just like this. So without further ado, guys, I bring you Nexe Innovations. Let's get straight into it, and feel free to drop a comment. Let us know what you think about the company, good or bad. I love to hear it all, as long as you guys keep it appropriate. So Nexe Innovations is set to become a publicly traded green coffee pod company after its acquisition by Watcom Capital. The company also said it will increase its previously announced private placement financing to 4.5 million Canadian due to increased demand. Nexe Innovations said over the weekend it will become a publicly traded developer of fully compostable, plant-based single-serve coffee pods for use in Keurig brewing systems, following its previously announced amalgamation with Watcom Capital Corp. The company added that due to increased demand, it will increase its previously announced private placement financing to 4.5 million at a price of 80 cents per unit. Each unit will consist of 1 common share and 1/2 of a share purchase warrant, with each whole warrant entitling the shareholder to purchase a common share of Nexe at a price of $1 per share for the next 12 months. So in September, the company did complete a $9.1 million financing round at 80 cents per unit. So let's take a look and see who are the board of directors first. So Darren Foots, who as founder and CEO of Nexe Innovations also owns more than 20% of the issued and outstanding shares. So strong ownership and lots of skin in the game from management. Ash Galani, the company's vice president. Haitham Houdali, who is currently the senior vice president corporate development of Wheaton Precious Metals. Killian Ruby, CEO of Malapisa Consulting Incorporated. And Graham Gilly, who is currently a director of enterprise risk management and data protection at Vancouver's Mulgrave School. The company believes that the Nexe pod can eventually eradicate the waste created by single-serve capsules, as its goal is to attract and sustain a significant portion of the single-serve market. It cited research from Fior Markets, which forecasts a compound annual growth rate of 8.5% for global coffee pod and capsule market, which is expected to reach $29.2 billion by 2025. So that's pretty awesome. It's nice to see a healthy compound annual growth rate with a very big, almost $30 billion market by 2025. So first, let's dive into their website, nexeinnovations.com. You can check it out. What is Nexe? We are an innovative materials company that designs, manufactures, and leverages disruptive technology to make plant-based products. Our story. Founded in 2015, the company leveraged 3D printing to design, prototype, and patent the world's first compostable, single-serve coffee pod born out of the need to replace non-biodegradable plastic. Today, after 5 years of scientific testing, the company is a leader in plant-based material manufacturing, beginning with its first commercial product, the Nexe pod. And we can see some of their partners here, guys. City of Surrey, UBC, Government of Canada, Canada NRC, CNRC. So guys, here is the Nexe pod. So plant-based, fully compostable, no compromise. Introducing the Nexe pod, compatible with the leading single-serve coffee format machines, non-toxic in soils, fully compostable in as little as 35 days, 5 years of science-backed testing, more volume capacity versus standard single-serve capsules. Rethink what's possible. So here is the Nexe pod. Now let's dive into their investor presentation. This is as of August 2020, the most recent one that I could get my hands on. So we create disruptive innovations through partnerships leveraging a deep understanding of advanced materials and manufacturing technologies to support a circular economy. So this is kind of their timeline. How is Nexe pioneering beverage pods? They had their idea, fully compostable, plant-based challenges. After discovering that plant-based materials fall apart under heat and pressure, the road ahead remained challenging, but the Nexe team persevered. Pilot over automation. As pilot equipment was tested, considerable new challenges emerged. It would take a whole new production team and over 1.5 years to successfully advance to commercialization. Today, the Nexe pod is being commercialized with plans to rapidly scale 220 million pods. Nexe is aiming to develop other plant-based innovations in other verticals using many of the lessons learned over 5 years. So they've got the technology. Now they can expand into different markets. They can start with the Nexe pod. Hopefully, that's their core driver of revenue. So it's an exciting company. What we do, we design, manufacture, and commercialize fully compostable plant-based materials for everyday consumer products and diversified markets. Consumer demand driving innovation for sustainable alternatives. Advancements in sustainable materials technology has created a generational opportunity for product innovators. Nexe is at the forefront of the convergence of advanced materials science with manufacturing technologies to develop sustainable consumer products. So let's talk about their investment highlights and their timeline. So explosive growth in the sustainable and global anti-plastic movement. So that will be, I feel like this is another sector of the market that millennials will like. We're all about saving the environment, or at least a lot of them are, or a lot of us are, because I am technically a millennial. So Nexe pod commercialization in Q4 of 2020, K-Cup format, significant K-Cup production capacity, growth up to potential 170 million units annually by the end of 2021. New innovation product testing to be completed by mid-2021. Award winner and recognized thought leader, have received multiple national recognized sustainability awards and have a growing intellectual property portfolio. So let's talk about the global plastic crisis. 365 plus million tons of plastic produced year over year. Less than 9% of that's recycled. 79% ends up in the environment, land, and oceans. 500 plus years for plastic pods to break down. So understanding the bigger problem. Plastic waste in local landfills is overflowing. Global R&D initiative for alternative materials to replace plastic. Increased need for new industrial facilities to prove quick digestion solutions for waste. Industrial compost facilities struggle with material acceptance. Compost certification agencies are at odds with the industrial compost facilities on what is compostable. Many promising new materials technology to replace plastic, however, not yet fully functional and compromise the product. For example, the taste. Now let's talk about their business so far, specifically, what they're zooming in on. Single-serve coffee pods. So the single-serve coffee pods are over 50% of all coffee consumed, 8.5% compound annual growth rate per year. Problem. Why hasn't there been a smart non-plastic coffee pod that has emerged as the category killer? The solution here is the Nexe pod. So the patented Nexe pod, plant-based, fully compostable, no compromise. Science-backed. Our ecotoxicity and compostability results are backed by scientific and industrial studies. 5-year R&D. After 5 years of R&D, Nexe mastered barrier without compromise and proved compostability in as little as 35 days. Lessons learned. The lessons learned from the creation of the Nexe pod will propel Nexe to new innovations. And think about all the different markets that they could get into with this technology. So 100% owned facility allows Nexe to begin to address the rapidly growing demand for plant-based alternatives to plastic. Scientific and commercial validation. So look at this. Carrots and onions after 3 weeks of growing in soil containing 10% Nexe pod compost. Soil containing Nexe pod compost has no negative influence on the growth of carrots and onions over a period of 6 weeks, with no evidence of toxicity to the plants. Post-shredded coffee pods. Fine compost pod particles after composting cycle 3. In optimum conditions, the pods can be fully degraded within a 35-day process. At an average organic waste facility, it would take approximately 70 days to fully degrade. We are working towards BPI certification. So here's their competitors. Keurig, Nespresso, Pure Pod, SF Bay Coffee, Eco Caps, Halo, and the Nexe pod. The single-use capsule industry is expected to reach annual consumption of 50 plus billion units in 2020. So here we go, guys. Comparison. limited acceptance at industrial facilities, limited volume of coffee. 500 years, coffee pod plastic decomposition, rigid cup, conventional. 35 days compostability, barrier, no adhesive, soy-based ink, more volume. That's the next pod. Let's talk a little bit about their collaborations and partnerships. So the Government of Canada, City of Surrey, NatureWorks, Canada NRC, CNRC. They've won multiple awards. You can check that out. So now let's talk about one last thing before we wrap this video up, and that is leveraging intellectual property to create new innovations. So as we know, the company spent 5 years developing these materials, this pod. Let's see how can they leverage it above and beyond just coffee pods, if that's your concern. So number one, the intellectual property first. So Nexe has a two-pronged approach to intellectual property with a leading intellectual property consulting firm to focus on our proprietary automation and materials technology within our pods. Number two, process. This process will strengthen our competitive advantage and barriers to entry, protect our brand, generate potential licensing revenue, increase transaction leverage, and shareholder value. Number three, 20 plus possible patent applications. The firm has identified at least 20 possible patent applications that would give Nexe global utility patent protection. Findings in lab to date suggest we can create new products in multiple verticals. So also with this intellectual property, Nexe, should have a scalable business more than just coffee pods down the road. And I'm sure, that might be part of their plan. So like I said, more updates on the way, guys. We will have an interview with management. I'll keep you guys up to date on that. The stock should be trading as of the time of release of this video under ticker symbol NEXE. And like I said, I'll probably take a position. So I'll be keeping you guys up to date on that as well. And I look forward to watching this company grow and this story unfold. So once again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Always remember, guys, Departures Capital is for information, education, and entertainment purposes only. Don't buy or sell a stock because you heard it on here. Buy or sell a stock because you've done your research, you've done your thorough due diligence, and you make your own personal investment decisions for yourself. This video is not financial advice, and once again, this video was sponsored by Nexe Innovations. Check the description down below for full disclosure details, and we're out of here, guys. Thank you, and we'll see you in our next video.